What's up, my loves and fellow creatives? I was going to do something totally different for class today, but I realized that yesterday when I was creating mock-ups from scratch, that I think you all could benefit from learning how to mock up from scratch too. Now, you won't be creating it completely from scratch. I've gotten it started for you up until this point, but what you're going to be doing tonight is you're going to be utilizing your pen tool and then your quick mask tool in order to complete this mock-up here, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and get into it, and I'm actually going to delete this layer mask right here because this is what you're gonna be doing tonight. So I'm gonna right click and I am going to delete that layer mask. And you'll see that I have already colored the sweatshirts here for the couple, and there's a little bit of a problem though. You want to create some artwork here and you want to be able to mock it up in different places. So I'm going to delete that artwork as well. And I'm going to show you how to create it all from scratch. You'll be starting from right about here. Now, I use the exact same steps that I'm going to show you in order to create this quick mask of both of the sweaters here, but I wanted to start you off with something so you didn't feel totally intimidated coming into this class. You're going to feel empowered that you are going to be able to use your quick mask tool and your pen tool. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to Control Plus and I'm going to zoom into the ladies shirt just a little bit here. And then what I want you to do is create a shape layer. Okay, so we're going to create a shape. It's going to be with the rectangular tool. I'm going to click, but I'm not going to just drag. I'm going to make sure that I type this in. I'm going to put 13 and I'm going to put IN for inch. And then the height is going to be 19 inch. And this is just going to be like your typical 13 by 19 shirt. It is huge right now and it is okay. As a matter of fact, I'm going to bring this all the way to the top here. And I'm going to choose a different color to fill it with. Let's choose red here. All right, and then I'm going to make sure that I turn off the stroke because I don't want a stroke on this. So this is just a basic shape now, 13 by 19 size as far as what we're telling it here. We're going to turn this into a smart object. So we're going to right click and we're going to convert. Well, before we turn it to a smart object, let's call this the art 13 by 19. So this is going to be our art area. Then once we turn it into a smart object, so we right click, do convert to smart object. Now, whenever I put this one place, it's going to go everywhere else I want it to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to alt click and drag it down to where it says man hoodie and woman hoodie. So I'm going to alt click and drag another one into that folder. What alt click and drag does is it duplicates. You could also very well just duplicate it and go to duplicate layer and drag it into that folder as well. So if your alt click and drag doesn't work, it's okay. Just duplicate it and move it to that folder. Now I'm going to turn the eyeball off on this one up top. And you'll see that I have some blend modes already set here that make this a little bit more believable as a mock-up. So I've done some of the work for you, but you're going to do a good deal of it tonight. So I've already put this little shadow layer up top here. And all I did was I duplicated the image and I took that masked area and then I allowed it to multiply on top of what you currently have so that it gives you those shadows applied back on top of your graphic, which makes it look more believable as a mock-up. So some of you all may be mocking up like maybe in Canva or some other programs and they always look so flat. Well, this is a way that you can make it not look so flat is to add the layer of transparency and shadow on top of whatever your image is. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this. This does not take long at all, y'all. I'm just talking you through it. All right, so for the man hoodie, we're going to move his image over here. And we may have to change it just a little bit so that it looks like it's in line. So we just adjusted it by rotating it just a little bit here. And then I may make it a little bit smaller. But keep in mind, this is a 13 by 19. The center is right about the center of his neck there. And I'm going to leave this part on here for y'all so that all y'all have to do today, literally all you have to do is use your quick mask tool and your pen tool tonight to practice. But I'm giving you these steps so that you have these as well. Now for her, I'm going to reduce her size just a little bit and rotate it so that it's pretty much lined up with her shoulders in that pocket area. All right, I'll go ahead and hit enter, lock in that transformation. So now I have my artwork here, but this is what you're going to start off with in class. Now, of course, his image would be hidden behind her arm, and that's pretty much impossible right now because we don't have that area masked off. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn off the artwork layers here. And we're going to select our very bottom layer. Okay, so this one is going to be, I'm going to call this my shadows layer. And then I'm going to call this my photo. So on the photo layer, I'm going to get my quick mask tool. And right now I have my size at 25, my hardness at 100. So it is giving me a pretty hard brush here, but that's going to work out just fine for us. And I'm going to start selecting where her shoulder is. And you see that it also selected, I can turn off the blue layer so I can see. So it also selected some of the shadow. I don't want it to select the shadow. So I'm going to use, I was using the plus sign to add to the selection. Now I'm going to use the minus sign to come here and take away some of that selection because it was a little bit confused in what I wanted to grab. And so it's going to start to understand that I didn't quite want to grab that. All right, so now I'm going to turn back on the image area for the man's hoodie, and I'm going to make sure that I have everything selected. I'm choosing my plus sign here now because I want to choose her hoodie right here. So everything that I need to clean up here is selected. I'm going to go to the man hoodie area here. But what happens is I have a selection here. I want to go to the layer mask, and I'm going to tell it to hide the selection. Okay, once I go to hide the selection, everything that I had selected now is hidden, and I have a handy dandy layer mask that did not delete anything. Okay, now I'm doing this part for you. You're going to do the strings for the young lady. I'm going to do the strings right now for the young man. So what happens here is, and I'm going to turn off the artwork because it's a little hard to see with the red, is you're going to use your pen tool because typically those strings are going to hang in front of the art. And I've been seeing a lot of mock-ups that are pretty jacked up when it comes to hoodies because the strings just are not selected and they are not on top, and it makes it look very unbelievable. So I am using my pen tool to click and drag here. This is a very, very simple thing. That's why I just chose these little straps here for y'all to do for tonight. And that's it. Once you have it selected, you're going to hit selection and then just give it a feather radius of 1. And then we're going to go back to where it says man hoodie on this layer here. We're going to grab our paintbrush and we're going to paint black here. For this, I'm going to turn the artwork layer on so you can see the magic happen. So the black is going to conceal that area right there. So if I could do Control D to deselect, you'll see now that my hoodie string is going to be hanging in front of my artwork now. So this seemingly very complicated process is, you're going to feel so much better about making your own mock-ups now. I don't even think you're going to realize how easy this was to do from the very beginning. Pen tool again here. Now I'm going to choose this string over here. And it's a little difficult. I think the string is here. It's a little white on white, but we can kind of make up where the string is right there. Okay, I'm closing that off. I'm going to hit selection. Make sure that I feather it 1 pixel. There it is. I'm going to turn back on my man hoodie here, and I'm going to paint. Make sure that I'm on the layer mask though, because if I paint anywhere else, it's going to give me color. I'm going to paint on the layer mask with the color black and get rid of the color right in front of that. Okay. Now, let's say I have this little area right here that I'm not liking. I'm going to take my paintbrush here and just make my paintbrush really small. And then if I want to hide things, I use black. If I want to reveal it, I use the white. So I'm just going to color it right there just a little bit. All right, so now here's the trick. When you double click on your artwork and you go File, Place Embedded, which I'm going to give you all a little sneak peek of some artwork that I'm going to be giving you all or teaching you all how to do for AI, but I'll be giving you this particular file. And then when you do the AI class and we do a coloring book class as well, I'll be giving you some of these individual files. All right, so I'm going to turn off the art color layer now because I want it to be transparent. And this is going to be applied to my graphic. So when I close out, I'm going to hit yes to save. Okay, and you see how more realistic that looks as a mock-up just because it has the strings hanging in front of it. It has these shadows applied on top of it as well, which you can control the shadows with the opacity. We can make it less or more opaque. We can change the levels to be more intense or less intense. You have that option. So you'll be able to play with that in here. Once you get this understanding, you are going to be able to make your own mock-ups. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and show you what you're going to do for the woman's hoodie. I'm going to go ahead and turn back on my square. It's a little bit easier to see what you're working with. Okay, so this is where I'm giving it to you. This is where I'm going to stop. You're going to have this to do for the hoodie string here. And then also you're going to go ahead and select just her hoodie and separate her hoodie from his hoodie. All right, so I got to go pretty fast with this. So let's go. Same exact principle, but we're going to go ahead and get into it. I'm going to turn off the red box for now. And I'm going to go ahead and create with my pen tool the shape. And because it's white on white, it's not a lot of understanding of exactly where these strings are because you have the multiply function on the blend mode. It will give you those shadows, and the shadows is what's going to make this look more realistic as far as the drawstrings go. So I'm creating a little tracing area, closing that up. I go to selection, radius of 1. And then I want to be on my woman hoodie folder. You're going to go up to the layer, do a layer mask, and you're going to tell it to hide that selection. Normally we just add a layer mask, but because we want the inverse of it, we want to hide the selection. Now if I turn this red back on, now it should hide everything that was on top there. I'll turn it back off again, or we can just turn the opacity down a little bit so we can see what's going on here. Then that way I can tell when we're popping out here. Same thing over here. I'm going to grab my strings for the hoodie here all the way from the top. Come on down. And what I'm doing with the pen tool is I'm clicking and dragging. So the whole exercise tonight is to get you comfortable with your pen tool and your quick selection. If you're not using those tools in Photoshop, then you're doing yourself a huge disservice because you could be creating some very complex looking files just by being able to use these very simple tools. So I'm just clicking and dragging. And what the dragging allows me to do is to get nice curves so I don't have that janky, jagged, hard lines. All right, and now I'm going to hit selection. Pixel radius is 1. Go back up to my woman hoodie layer, grab my paintbrush, and this time I'm going to paint this one out because I already have a layer mask on here. So because I want to conceal it, I'm going to make sure that black is in the foreground. So I hit my default swatches, switcheroo so that black is in the foreground. Make sure that I have the layer mask selected. And I'm going to go a little bit bigger with this brush here. And I'll turn on the layer underneath just so I can make sure that I have cleanly selected all of the area here. Then I can do Control D to deselect, and look at that. My hoodie strings are now in front of my artwork, which is going to look so much more believable. All right, so one final task And I'm doing this really fast. It probably will take you a little bit longer to do this because you're going to be getting used to this, but it is okay. What I want to do is right now, the man and the woman together, their hoodies are one color. I want to just get the woman's hoodie all by herself. So I'm going to be turning off this color here so I can see what I'm working with. Turn off my artwork. And I'm going to be selecting just her hoodie, which can be a little difficult because they're both wearing white. So this is where your skills are going to come in. You're going to go to the quick selection tool. And I'm going to suggest that you be on the plus or the addition selection. Make sure that you're on 25 pixels right now. Your hardness is at 100%. And I think my spacing is at 25%. So let's make sure that we have all the same settings here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start selecting the edge of her sweater here. Getting really particular there first. Oh, I have to be selected on the photo layer there. Let me deselect. Make sure you select it on the photo layer so it knows what you're trying to select. That's why I was going so janky. Okay, see how I selected that shadow? It's cool. We're going to come back and grab what we need. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab her whole sweater here. Even up to her hair. Make sure we have everything selected here. Perfect. Now we're going to do the minus here, which is going to subtract from the selection. And I'm going to subtract just this shadow area here. Because I want the shadow to stay on his shirt, not hers. All right, and just like that, we're going to go to the group one layer here. We're going to create a brand new solid color. And I want you to change it to something different. So I'm going to change this one to green, just so I know it's different. Really weird green there. And you see how it automatically puts a layer mask on that for me? All right, so now what you're going to have is a sweater color that is separate from his sweater color. And therefore, you can change it. Go to your swatches even. You can change the two colors independently. So let's say you had like a Lilo and Stitch theme and you wanted to do the Valentines and one was the pink and one was the blue. You don't have to have them the same exact color. And then also we can go ahead and turn on the opacity here. And I'm going to save my file for you. So if you happen to mess up, it's okay. You're going to have my file. But for those of you who participate, remember I made 3 mock-ups last night with the AI class. I'll show those to you in just a little bit. But I did make those classes so that you can, or I did make those files. So those that participate in the class will get those files as well. And then that way you're going to be well versed in creating mockups because you have access to those files too. All right. So the very simple thing, this is the hard part tonight, y'all. The simplest thing to do is going to be to bring in your artwork there, turn that off. Let's bring that back on here. And like I said, you'll see you have your shadows on top of here. Look much more believable. I'll even take this layer here and instead of normal, I'm going to put it onto multiply. Or this one, nope, I'm going to put on the color. All right, and this one will be on color as well. All right, and then if you need to change your blend modes or anything underneath, you can do that as well. This one, let me leave that on multiply. You can play with your different blend modes here. So I am going to go ahead and delete this layer because you're going to do this part, and I'm going to delete the drawstrings layer. You're going to be brave. You're going to figure it out. You're going to get it done. You're going to impress me. And then that way I have 3 or 4 more mockup files that I'm going to give you from the Valentine's collection so that you will have mockups to show off your artwork and the products that you're going to be creating for Valentine's. This is a super powerful tool to understand how to use. I hope that you all are not going to be too intimidated by this tonight, but I think this is, yes, I love that somebody said that. This is right on time, Right on time. Working on your mockups right now. This is a skill that's going to set you apart from other people who just do AI or just do their artwork in Canva. This type of skill here is going to set you apart as a real Photoshop artist. So don't get discouraged. Come to class. Make sure that you are ready to learn and apply a new skill tonight. And I'll have some goodies for those that show up and show out. All right, so that's it for tonight, y'all. I appreciate you. I love you dearly. And until next time, bye.